the original padded sticks that came out back in the 70s.
So this first one, which was one of my favorites.
This is a dueling stick. You have a blade down at the end, and you have a little steel cap off the top.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of VSCK Podcast. My name is Gregory Manalo. I'm here with my older brothers in the arts, Jason Santucci, and of course, Renato Alfonso. Today, we're going to continue our show and tell of sorts of Sonny's training tools, some of his art. And we really are just so fascinated and proud and want to share his art with the greater public who may not or have not even seen any of his work. And so without further ado, I think Renato was up first here to share some of Sonny's training tools.
Well, and his art, right? But primarily, I just have a couple just to share just because they're in my possessions. And one of them, one of the original padded sticks that came out back in the 70s. And this was nothing, to me, was a dowel and a fiberglass stick. And what he did was the canvas that he sewed it and then he reversed it and then put it in. I think the foam was some kind of foam that he added and then kind of just kept inserting it. But these were the original padded sticks. And back then, these were not available anywhere, right? And he would do a lot of poking with these things. So he started putting caps on them so nobody gets hurt, right? And then he started putting, later on, several editions, he started making commercially a lot of them. And he bought in those days, you can't buy just a couple feet of material. You got to buy a whole 1,000-foot roll kind of stuff. And there's a few people that help him, but these are the originals and his idea. And there's a lot of these now on the internet, but they don't look and feel like these just because, he was using for just about everything, right? And he can train without hurting people. And, he made a couple more like these, but that idea came from Sonny.
Yep.
And his artwork, like I said, I'm just going to show you two more. Just, I have a lot. You guys have his toys as well, and we could talk about toys. That's another section. But I'm going to show you. Obviously, I'm going to show you these guys just because of this. You guys can see the flowers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's just a lot of time and effort, right? Yep. So both of these are that. And like I said, this is just his passion. I just see him. And then lastly, this one here, and you have a lot of these as well. Just the varnishing of it. I don't know. I just love the way this thing feels, right? Just I love this thing. So, anyways, these are part of Sonny's spirit that is with me. In fact, there was quite a few toys that were weapons that he created when Greg came over here one day. Something kept telling me these things belong to Greg because when I first met Greg and Jasper, they wanted to. Greg and Jasper, the new face of Design Eskrima. And so that's the face that I would like to have seen for Sonny's art, right? The two brown faces. I can say that. I can't say that, Jason, but I can say it.
We're all the faces. We're all the faces.
Yeah, we all. It's some more pigmentation than others. But Sonny was very proud of the two of you. So, But anyways, Greg, I know you. I think you still have them. And somehow these things I felt belong to you, and in terms of moving Sonny's art forward. Can you show them what you have there, Greg?
Yeah, for sure. Really quick before we go on to the rest of them, I think one of the questions, the padded sticks. I know that he coined it. The padded sticks.
Padded sticks, yeah.
Padded sticks. I don't know when that came into effect, but
I don't ever recall him When did you?
I don't. It could have been Jeff too, because Jeff was making them.
Oh, that's right. But
And
Jeff,
I believe the first pair I got from Jeff, and I think on the sticker it said Umpad sticks on it.
that's kind of cool.
Right. But also, Ren, the other thing I wanted to bring up is they were great for training, like especially if you're doing hand shots or head shots and you don't have to wear a bunch of stuff. Yeah. But I think one of the main driving forces behind it too was, again, he's in an apartment, so he could practice late at night. I mean, because you all know, like, you hit stick on stick, you hit sticks on anything, it makes so much noise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so he could train into the night, because if he was working on something and he doesn't want to stop, that was a limiting factor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that was a huge part of that, was how quiet they could be too. Yeah. So it wasn't just the safety aspect, but also, there are multi reasons behind it,
And you guys notice that these are pretty skinny sticks.
Yep.
They're not the Jason sticks.
Yeah.
The full girth.
Well, this is one of the newer ones. I think this is one of the directly after those. Because these are still by Sonny, because they are, one, it was a little bit shorter, and two, the grip is a little bit more ornate than the future ones. But
the grip was a dowel with rubber bands. And then he bought the caps. He had boxes and boxes of those caps.
Yeah, right? I remember that. Yep. And the foam and I mean, this is probably over 30 years old, 35 years old.
Yeah.
And it's still serviceable. It's still usable.
Yeah. And those things will wrap around your leg.
Yep.
Yeah, those are the ones I remember coming into it, and them talking about padded sticks. One of the questions I get oftentimes by other practitioners is, does VSCK have a preferred length, of stick? And maybe, do you guys have any info around that? I mean, I know Sonny said something to me and us about that, but I'm interested in
26.
Say 26.
26. 26 inches for the duplicata, right? He was much more flexible with the buckeye and other stuff, but specific because too other arts were so very specific about what they used, right? Like the Doce Paris is like 29, and I think, if I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but
leave it in the comments.
Yeah, exactly. Serrata is 21, like 18 to 21, somewhere in that range.
I think they have a few, yeah.
Right.
These are 24, by the way.
Oh, okay.
And was there a thought process?
What's that?
Was there a thought process behind that, or what was the?
I think it was.
I just know that the lighter, he was more comfortable because he can go faster with the lighter sticks, and he was more mobile. He can do a lot of flicking with the smaller, lighter sticks, right? And
I think he was bridging between the different styles, though. Right?
That's
like
true.
He was a little bit longer than the Serrata. He's a little bit shorter than some of the other ones. So for the longer sticks, he could get in on that inside range easier, especially with the inside rolls and all that kind of stuff. And then while he's still longer than some of the shorter ones, it wasn't so much so that would get bound up.
Right.
And so I think it was his like middle of the road to be as effective as possible throughout all the different ranges.
I think it was all those things for sure too. Yeah. The big consideration was, at least for me doing double stick, was center line roll, and not getting caught up, because when I would show other people, I'm like, well, your sticks are a little longer, so you have to choke up on it a little higher. But the other thing too, he was big on, again, talking about tailor-made, was measuring it and using the stick according to your body structure, and using something long enough just for you and not too short. But I think all those things play a factor, and again, customization. But and then you showed us those double sticks that were carved, and also I think early on, first gen and second gen, and eventually working up his way to third gen, I think he went from shorter to longer, which kind of tracks with quarter work, and then going into more larger work. And so that kind of makes sense there too. But and then that training knife, or it was carved out of wood. Was that his particular signature shape, preferred shape, family shape, or was that kind of recreation or reimagining of a traditional quote unquote shape. Do you know, Renato?
Are you talking about this one?
Yes. Yes.
I'm not sure where he was thinking, but I know this blade, this Persian kind of looking shape, was in a lot of his knives, more of a slicing kind of feel to him. Jason, you did a lot more work with shapes with Sonny, but this just happens to be sort of a Persian kind of. I don't know what the word is, Jason, but that had that kind of a shape,
right?
It's
like a clip point sweeping.
It's a trailing, yeah. I mean that basic blade shape showed up over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Even if the handle wasn't the same, or it wasn't accentuated as that super thin entry point with that slight trail back. Seemed to carry out through a lot of his stuff, and that's for the cordoffs and the flicking and all that kind of stuff. You bend corners, if you will. Get around stuff, and that's even popular.
Even with wooden stuff, right? Sonny's knives were always had balance. Anything that he does, if it's wooden, plastic, whatever it is, carved and put a bunch of resin on it, the balance was always on point, right? That you can manipulate it, you can do anything. It was just he knew what he was doing about that, right? When you put it in your hands, it had a balance. And,
it's all about feel, yeah.
Yeah. And anyway, so that was I didn't know what he was thinking, but I think at that time, that's probably 80s that he was doing that. But I'm sure there was a lot of input by then, right? From anyways, I'm not a knife expert, so that's not my place. My place is to bring in the brown boys.
I do find it interesting to maybe not early on, but certainly nowadays to see a profile of a knife or a sword and get an idea of how it wants to be used. And when you look at Sonny's stuff, it makes sense that it's more of a trailing point because the stabbiness of it all, or we got that cuerdas part where we can wrap around the corner, and the more preferable tendency of wanting to slice, which also goes into kind of this hiwa, something like that too.
This is Sonny's as well. I think Jason put this on for me because he's that kind of a guy. So you still have the same kind of feel, just longer, elongated, right? More of a slice, a belly, but even this has a balance to it. Even his cordas knife, I can put it against my body just.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so they always have that kind of a feel to them, right? But I don't like this blade. I like using the back of this part. I mean, well, anyways, that's kind of a preference kind of thing, right? So so all his knives had a slicing feel to them, as opposed to I'm sure you can penetrate in all the stuff that you can do with a knife, but anyways, so
some tips make it easier than others for sure.
Oh yeah.
So the ones that Renato allowed me to hold on to, we'll start with this beautiful rendition of a barong, and for traditionalists, whatever. You can see his signature right here. Actually, hopefully that focuses, but I think that's
there you go.
So cool.
You got it.
I'm not entirely sure what the materials are, but that does look kind of like bone.
It really does.
This part,
that's what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, right. It looks like bone, and you could see stuff here that's it looks like rope, to be honest with you, with super glue on top, and that super glue and cigarettes. I'm gonna put that on a t-shirt. Super glue and cigarettes were the things that I offered up to him, me and Jay, because again, we were there through his blessing and to train with him for free, and the only deal was to show up and do the work. But on top of that, we brought him food, special requests, super glue, and cigarettes, and that was kind of the priority right there. And so I'm not surprised if this was all wrapped with super glue finished there.
Yeah.
But beautiful, beautiful barong training blade, and it's one of my favorites. And I remember this being hung up on the wall. It's so beautiful. And I always wanted to learn how to use a barong. Barongs by nature are more choppy. Not that you couldn't slice or thrust with something like that, but
at least with his specifically.
Right. Yeah, and this does look less belly full than a traditional barong. You know, again, traditional.
This one is more of a traditional kind of shaping, so I got to put that in. So
yeah,
so it's less of a belly, more balanced belly, right? But this is you don't want to be. It's hard to poke on you can't poke on these guys because you'll eat up your hand. But
yeah,
there's a name for that too, right? If I remember, there's a name for that type of barong with a more acute point. It escapes me, but I know Sonny used to talk about that all the time, where he would specifically say a particular type of barong. I can't remember, but the much more acute point.
Yeah. If folks remember who are viewing, please participate and leave in the comments. Let us know if you remember, because we
nicely
we sure don't. Yeah. Nicely, if you would. The other two here that I was able to hold on to were very unique style Panabas axes, I guess. So this first one, which was one of my favorites, I don't know how to present this without it. So here's the blade end of it, and you can see the rest of the kind of profile here, where we have, again, this kind of really accentuated hook and return, along with kind of this butt end here. Hopefully it focuses, but I believe it's a type of leather. I gotta block my face so it doesn't focus on my face here. There we go.
There you go.
So it's a leather, I believe, and then it's also, again, wrapped around with rope or twine and finished with some sort of lacquer or super glue, which I wouldn't be surprised by if it was. And I'd get up and demonstrate this, but we have other videos for that, so maybe we'll interlay it on top. But to me, I think at least this version of a Panabas, which is more closely designed for him to use like a bugsai. You can use it largo mano, you can use it both hands, you can coil up like a sword or a bat, or you can stagger it just like a oar, like a bugsai. And I love it because, to me, I think bugsai is the signature tool or signature weapon that embodies VSCK, because you have corto, medio, and largo, and you can use the bugsai in any of those ranges. It also exemplifies this idea of corto cadena, meaning rapid chain or continuous flow, or continuous strikes, and it uses and condenses these ranges so well, and it's not confined by just a singular range. And so I think that's another thing that is very unique and is hallmark to VSCK, but at least how I understand it in this kind of third generation rendering of it all. Moving on to this other one. This is the one that I would see on his wall, and I think this does have much kind of an edge to it, but let me show you the blade edge first. There we go. And that does, I don't know, okay, there's like some sort of, maybe it was a machete imprint here, but there is a logo. I don't know if that's coming through or not, but
it's not. But what does it say?
It looks like there's a diamond, and there's kind of these lines to show that it's shining, and it potentially starts with an M, so it could be a machete that starts with an M. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But, I know that he probably most likely made this shape.
Is it possible there was an I before the M?
Maybe.
Because Imakasa was a very big machete manufacturer at that time.
Because it maybe partially got ground out. We'll have to look that up. But look at the beautiful, beautiful carving work on there, and the handle. And then again with the finishing, and then there's just ever so slight kind of return on that end right there. Beautiful piece. He hung it up on the wall, and to me, again, is the hallmark of VSCK, and it's so beautiful to see when Sonny does it. Just using it as intended as a book side 3-sectional kind of weapon, as an axe, as a larga mano, and even holding it reverse grip with the blade at the back, right? Which we start talking about, which is more kind of wave cutter de cuerdas portion of it. And so, which is beautiful, beautiful to see. If I can find some training footage, I'll include it here. So yeah, those are the 3 that I was allowed to hold on to because I'm the youngest in the group, and who knows what I'll do with it. But I still got them. I didn't lose them. So
no, they're yours, Greg. I mean, there's nothing, that's Sonny to you, right?
I appreciate that.
They don't belong to anything else but there. So,
like I always say, we're just curators and docents of Sonny Umpad's museum, and I'm just holding on to it to share with everyone else. But
bring up that second one more time, Greg.
Sure.
The second one. That was also the other one, the one with the bigger hook. Sorry,
okay.
The second.
The second. There we go.
That shape right there is. I remember that, and that was the. It's always been there, but that shape right there was for the panungkod as well. Did you see the shape of it?
Mm-hmm. What is panungkod for our?
I apologize. Like
Tagalog,
a cane.
Tagalog. Okay. Cane.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So you see that shape. So you can that size, that shape is for the cane, and then the cane thing happens, which is largo, which is all of the above, right? That's one facet of that buksai, that shape. Yeah, that shape, and you can put that on your palm also. That tip, like that, right on the tip, like so, like that. Yeah, like that, and it will still feel like that.
That feels good.
Yeah, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And then you can wrap, like that, and you can do all kinds of stuff with that. And I think that was part of his cane.
Even holding like this.
All that stuff, because now that hook, when you grab it and do back, I mean that thing like that. Yeah,
right
yeah,
there.
all that stuff. But
tabletop demo right here.
I love that one, but it didn't belong. It didn't belong to me. It belonged to you, Greg.
I appreciate it. Thank you for letting me hold on to it, because I still use these when I'm training on my own, or when I show stuff to students to really like get the point across, or if they're acting up, No. But yeah, that's all the ones that I'm holding onto. There's so much more, so I had to actually tell these guys to like whittle it down, because there's just so much to show. But yeah, Jason has got some really nice ones. So what do you have, Jason?
I have a few things, but I wanted to say the other two about that panabas is the angle of the butt, right, with going forward and doing a slide hit forward is just like using that part. Same thing. The shillelaghs are made the same way, right? So you have that focus, putting all the power at the tip there. Not only is it like a great visual cue for us to like see where it needs to go, but also it literally just maximizes and drives that power forward, just like a shillelagh does. So any of the sliding strikes, or if you're using fulcrums or anything like that, it just kind of maximizes that, but it trains your brain how to do the for me anyway, the like the cordas and the other things and all the sliding and fulcruming better, because you have that. If you're off angle with it, it's going to rebound in a really bad way, right? And so everything has to be aligned for you to hit and have it hit solid, because if you don't, it'll tell you right away. It'll torque in a bunch of different directions. It's another reason why I think we all talked about like we all seem to like the the Bugseye and even just purely along the traditional lines of how it was taught, and like just watching it and visually and everything about it was just so awesome. And so like you could just pick anything up and use it. In fact, one of the funnier compliments I got is I was showing something somewhere at work, and we had some cops in there that were doing something else, and I was showing somebody some of it, and this one guy, I'd never met him, he walks by and he looks at me and he's like, "I see that, I shoot you." And I'm like,
right,
"Thank you." And he was like, "Really good, but I'll shoot you, just so you know." I was like,
"Yeah, that looks foreign. Dude. I'm gonna shoot you. I don't know what that is." Hey, I get it. You know, a la, Indiana Jones and the guy with the, hey, I'm not gonna find that.
So, trying to whittle it down, and I'll probably derivate a little bit because I can't not show, but along the lines of, that's a Panabas, but still with the same idea of, similar to the Bugseye. This is one of my favorites too, which I know some people would call, like, if they have it hanging over their door and it's a single side, it would be a garrote, maybe. Just a flat stick. Is that accurate, Ren?
Yeah.
But, and I'm going to do my best, but you know, he made this as kind of a user one. This is probably the biggest piece of, what I believe to be ironwood I have ever seen. Which makes it really cool, because I do see those like little tan stripes through it. It really looks like ironwood, which means carving this was horrible. So even any kind of carvings into it, on top of just making the general shape, as well as making, just these little striations here, just must have taken so much time to get that to where it needs to be. And I mean, overall too, I know, Greg, I don't think I answered you last time. You talked about like, and you were speaking specifically to knives, of like a specific feature, and the punal grip, that kind of thing that is prevalent through a lot of his stuff, but that changes depending upon what the application is. Like some of this stuff doesn't. Some of this stuff just looks like a needle, with very little to it. But the one thing that I've seen reoccur through most, and this is something that's like always been important to me, and accentuated here, you have a flat stick, is torsional control, being very important. Round sticks are different, but for edge tools, because here, you have an edge, right? You're hitting with the edge, you're not hitting with the flat on this. You have to be aware of that. And so to keep yourself aware of that is having, a pronounced flat sides, to have that torsional control over the tool, so you can see, so you know where the edge is without looking, and being able to hit. So I think that's definitely a hallmark of the larger stuff that's edge based, is having that. And there's so much stuff out there that's just like big, chunky, wide stuff, and some things that make sense, like if you're like bushcraft stuff, where you're you're using a tool to cut some heavy fibrous, whatever it is, over and over and over and over again. If you have a very sharp grip that like is aligned to your hand perfectly, you're just going to get horrible hot spots, and you're going to be a bloody mess, right? Yeah. So it makes sense that stuff's rounded, but this stuff is specifically it's literally hardwiring it to your brain when you use it, and I think that is definitely a hallmark of his thinking of design process for edge specific tools. But yeah, I just love the way this one, it's not as ornate as a lot of his, but when you take in the idea of what the wood is and how he had to get there, this took a long time.
Yeah.
This took a long time to get there.
And one of my favorite features out of that thing is that it's flat. So I'm happy that you brought that up, because of all of those same reasons of indexing and using it, precisely. I look at that and I know if I pick it up, it'll feel good, and it'll ask to be used in a certain way, which, I love it.
Yep. So another one here, and speaking of, and this wasn't on purpose, but one of the few of his rattan sticks that he did put flat edges on, right? And there's a reason for that, because this is a dueling stick. You have a blade down at the end, and you have a little steel cap off the top. So while something like this may not have a lot of kinetic energy on its own, you put that there, and if you're accurate with that tip, and then you have this guy at the base. We kind of had a conversation whether it was this or whether it was this, but I think it really comes down to just the functionality of what you're doing, and the ability to switch is pretty easy. So I'm sure it's probably both. Ren, you're probably right. I'm sure it's probably both.
Yeah.
But I thought this was really cool. In fact, one of the bars that I had years ago, I copied without this, but about the same length, and I just put a copper cap over the end of it. So I had something really short and really small, and I had it there specifically if I had to duel somebody with a knife,
right.
Because just crowded, tight environment, and something that could be very, very fast, but also would want to make somebody drop something. That'll definitely make you do it.
Yeah.
But the amount of burning that he did into this, and the shaving to get the I don't know if you can see that it's flat.
Yeah.
That's kind of hard, but
yeah.
But this is nice and flat here on the side, so that it aligns to the blade here, and then the leather grip that I'm sure there's a healthy dose of super glue onto this, and then you have the steel cap here that is capturing, I'm sure, the blade. It's really well thought out stuff.
And you said it was a dueling training, dueling.
That's my understanding.
And it wasn't necessarily. So he used it.
This is for a serious social encounter of, not necessarily. This isn't like a.
Isn't a training tool. I mean, it certainly could be, but
right.
saying that it's a dueling weapon implies that it was used in a duel.
That's its purpose. Whether it was or was not, I could not say.
Got it.
But something like this is, in my opinion, is designed for a single purpose of a. This isn't a go to war tool. This is
of course,
we're going to check each other's skill tool, and the outcome is the outcome, kind of thing.
Right.
Because there's really, if you were like, oh, I have to go and fight a bunch of people with swords, you're not going to take this.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
This is a very specific idea. This is
right.
Testing somebody's skills, and the outcome is let somebody else decide it for us, kind of thing. Right? Mm-hmm. Ren, does that?
Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah. The same, I can't find them right now, but he made a little. He had some T-handled knives, again made out of like a small scissor blade, and then a little square T-handle knife that you grab this way. And the idea was, and this is specific to the Philippines, not here as far as I understand, but if you were playing with somebody and it became more, it was a serious engagement, that a lot of times that they would just kind of keep those in their waist, and so the T-handle would go right here, and so the blade would come through here. And so if the engagement became more serious and it wasn't just sticks, then there was also the you have the point right there, and so that would then be brought into play if things became if they weren't fun anymore.
Yeah, that's an ace in the hole there. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, when I look at that with the puño having the blade, it also, as a training tool, makes me think that it's asking to be used a certain way. And again, Sonny would always give us tools, training tools, not necessarily to use the weapon as is, but also to extract an attribute to mount onto our body. And when I look at that, I think puño, I think four corner, wave cut, or de cuerdas, and so on. So that's kind of a dual purpose, I think, as well.
Yep. No, I could totally see him using that for checking your hands too, and making sure they were where they were supposed to be and they weren't where they were supposed to be. But I do the origin of that, I think, is a much older thing. But yeah, I can totally see him using that to, make sure that you're paying attention to your appendages,
Yeah.
and where they belong. As far as like other, and I'm going to need your guys' help on this because I have a pretty rudimentary, but this was something that we used a lot. This is going to be hard to get in here. So this is two fencing foils put together, and he would use, and basically to sharpen your angles for one. The idea is you have the one person is throwing, usually in a figure eight kind of, but it could change, it could be reversed. And the idea is being able to cut through, or to shadow, and follow, just to make sure that angle's sharp, and also so that you can come behind a shadow and you can cut the weapon hand safely while that other weapon is in play. Use this a lot. This is great for impressing people too, if you can pull it off and do it. But I always thought this was neat. This is not something I'd seen anywhere else. And if you get good at this and you can play with this, it really does. Your eyes get very attuned, even how somebody's hand is, because you have to, you've got that edge awareness. It's just one of the, so it's very simple, but it's also like it's ingenious in its use, So I really appreciate this thing. I love using this thing.
Yeah. When he broke that out, seldomly, at least with us, but he definitely showed us it. And I think the idea or the concept that's unique to VSCK and his system was the idea of a Nino, which is shadow. And it can be used as an entry point, but it's either a block, but it's also an attack. And so just getting that accuracy of being where they weren't or where they just were, those are the hardest shots to see, is the ones that are behind the one that was previously delivered. And so I think that's where that training tool comes in, along with maybe some other ones as well. But that's probably the primary use of that, as well as what Renato was mentioning too, being on the same plane. Obviously, you have to be on the same kind of plane, otherwise you'll intersect and just run into it. But
well, that and if you see, I'm gonna make so if I cut you like this or throw you something like that, and I can rotate it a little bit, you're forced now to follow that blade, right? Or I throw something at you and I turn it this way. Now you have to find an escape so that you can still follow it. So I think that's what I saw in that as well. Not only the singular lines, the cutting lines, the cut and the poking and the just follow the plane in whatever application. But as you're turning it, right, you now you have to kind of be sensitive to what those edges are in between. So I thought that's the biggest thing that I saw in that one. After you get that. So but after that, anybody can throw something and you're just hitting, cutting, whatever it is outside of those lines, right? Whether in or out, whatever. But then it just educates your body to see what options you have. So that's a really great tool. And you can use that on knife, single, edge forward, edge back, book side. You can do that for all the things that we're doing. You can do that with the pendulum. That tool added to the pendulum is like you go from here to there, right? And then and if you're moving around, that's even better, right? That now you can do, all kinds of stuff in play. So that gives it a different dimension that Jason has that tool now. So we all have different experiences with that tool. I mean, you show that to any one of us, if I can put it that way, Sonny student, they'll go, I know what that is, and it brings that memory, right? So I love that tool.
Yep.
You can use it in any weapon, and you can be creative with it, right? With the accuracy, how you enter into it, how you go behind it, all the other stuff. So, anyways,
yeah. So awesome. So ingenious.
Yeah.
And the training for your the training for your eyes and being able to pick targets based off that is just
Yeah.
It's on a different level. Where like I see a lot of people like, it's not realistic to think you could throw whatever, but if you're chasing something like that in real time, and you can, yeah, even tip in, you can throw tip in and come out without touching that. That's a level of accuracy that, gun stuff. They say, aim small, miss small kind of thing. It's very much the same idea to me. And I feel we were really lucky to be able to get that stuff, because that's the stuff that kind of separates.
Just the idea of coming up with that so that you can embody or get into your system what the things that he was trying to get you to
Right.
have a target that you can play with and add different concepts to it. I just thought it was cool, right?
Yep.
Not just cool, but just really very productive in terms of getting people to do the things that he wanted you to do, right? So.
Yeah, absolutely. It also, I think, is a testament to just how accurate and precise he was striving to be and striving for his students to get to. Because like he always said, you only need just this much to not intersect with the blade. And so you're really playing with just enough of space to get around it. And also getting that point to manipulate around it just enough to insert that thrust. And so there's so much.
Well, and also
keeping the tip right there in the circle. And there's just so much to investigate there, which is fun as a practitioner, but also to me, I think is genius that he would even condense it and look at it in such a detailed way. And so a testament to his skill. Was that 3 already, Jason, or was it?
I got so much more sitting here. So
of course you do. All right. Yeah. What else you got?
So one of the things, and this has had many different lives, and it's had many different it's been shown in many different forms over the years, but this is definitely one of the oldest, and I can tell by the mark. I can't really necessarily tell by how it looks. But I talked about the one time of playing really, really hard and getting blades stuck together. This is actually that blade. I don't know if you can see. I do have the other one somewhere, but
hold your hand behind it so we can see the edges and the chips on there.
Is that
registered?
Can you tell?
Yeah, I think we can see that. Yeah.
And to the point where he's got the red here to the regrind marks to take all that off. But this was, I think, what they used to call like a presentation machete back in the day. So like in some of the bigger, fancier hotels down Central South America, they would have like really shiny, very large machetes. And Corona was, I think they're still around, but they were definitely a very big machete maker at the time. And most machetes don't have this kind of a finish, right? They don't have this, I mean, it's dirty. I need to clean it, but more of a mirror type finish to them. Most of them don't have, but these would be in the hotels on the wall that people could buy as like as a souvenir. So this blade was actually probably about this long originally, and it was a more traditional, very wide front point, like a traditional brush clearing machete, and then it had a more simple handle. Definitely not like this. So he made this specifically. This is an idea because he got the weight where he wanted. This was going to be one of his eternal trainers, right? I think everybody's probably used these at one point or another. But even then, he's still making it, functional, but also still like kind of elegant, like this is a big piece of aluminum that he rebent. And I mean, his ability to fit these things with the tools that he had, there's really very little daylight between this and the guard. And if you look at that kind of gentle curve that he's got there, I'm doing my best to show this. I can't really see myself on the screen as much. But then we have a leather collar here that he has wrapped. I don't see a seam, so I'm sure he used fillers and other things to block that off. I can't even, I'm assuming, that is leather, and there's definitely, so it's been layered with glue over and dyed to the point where it's like very, very solid and nice. You've got some what's probably hemp rope here wrapped tight with a healthy amount of super glue and other things here. So the grip on this is just absolutely phenomenal. You couldn't ask for a better grip here. And my hands were substantially wider than his too. And I got one very used to knives that were a little smaller, and it felt more secure because it had the fore and the aft kind of taken care of. And it's not even different here, even though you have this big open part here where the center of this grip is right here. And you have a nice oval shape, so it's got that torsional control. And then here you've got a secondary wrap like the first. Greg, I'm with you. I think like on this stuff, it's looks like bone. Whether it is or I don't know. But here's another thing that repeats too, where I don't know. Can you guys see that there? Is that showing up at all?
Yeah, I think so.
So he definitely had an affinity for like raptors, predatory birds. If there's a cultural or a significance, please tell me. I don't know, but I've got a few pieces where he does have birds on the bird head. So whatever that connection is, I'm not quite sure, but that was definitely part of. I've seen this repeat on a few of his nicer pieces where he's done that a few times. But again, a training tool that probably has thousands of hours behind it, right? Like thousands of hours of use. Different people's hands, sweat, whatever, and all this, and it has lasted this long. It is still absolutely rock solid. I could put an edge on this, and I could go cut through a jungle tomorrow, right? And be better off than most people with modern machetes, you know. And the weight too, you just until you feel it, you can't. You know, there's so many people out there that make really large stuff and really large things, and they just don't have that weight balance to it because they don't have all that time with the just using these tools over and over again. You know, evading and, you know, sharpshooting with them and doing like all that kind of stuff and wave cutting, deflecting, like all those kinds of things. And it's just so elegantly well put together for something that ideally is like, you know, it's a training tool, but it's still done and balanced to be what he wanted the real thing to be, you know? So I'm pretty impressed by that. Oh, also like Ren, as always, you know.
Yeah.
Right. So you've got that's cheating range right there, right? You're playing here and then you've got that much more.
Right.
Right. So all those things are there. I think that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, everything comes into play for sure. I remember seeing that hung up on the wall, and every so often he'd take it off the wall because it's got an edge to it. I mean, it's not sharp, but there's still a bevel on there.
Oh, you'll hurt somebody.
Yeah. I think, in fact, I probably still have a scar from it, but not that it was intentional, but you know, it's accidental. But that one, if you're hitting blade to blade, that has a ring to it. And that makes it extra scarier.
Well, that's all with. Part, right? Yeah, and to show to further along those lines, and people that know what they're talking be like, well, you're not supposed to be hitting edge to edge. You're right. Right. You're right. You're not supposed to be hitting edge to edge. You're supposed to use the flat to block. Right.
Yes, ideally. Yes.
So so you're here, right? If you're being, I'm trying to just make the angle for the camera here. So like, here's the idea. If it's blah blah. You get hit this way, you're supposed to do this. But if somebody's swinging at you full force with one of these, if you're training, you're better than I am. If you can stay flat, because you know what? If I do this, I'm giving myself that much more space to be slightly inaccurate and still not get hit. I'm probably going to do that every time, right? And that's literally what I did, because it's just that little bit, you have that little bit extra of space that it gives you to protect you from whatever's incoming. And if something's coming in full speed like this, that means a lot, right? And so that is a lot of the reason why this is here, because it was scary, right? And that made it a little less scary, right? Like, so those of you that are better, great, good for you. But that was
Right. I mean, that's the reality. He would say, ideally you want to preserve your edge, but hey, better the sword than you, right?
Yeah.
And so,
well, I'm glad because I didn't hear that. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. He gave us a little permission,
Okay.
a little leeway.
All right.
The other thing
Okay.
too is that he was the one wielding that one most of the time. So I imagine it's the students really damaging that thing too.
Yep.
So just
Yep.
yeah. Anyway. Beautiful pieces of work, and just a sign of his dedication to the art and the craft of it. Any last burning pieces you want to show?
I thought that was. Jason might have one more.
He's got like a dozen more.
I got like 5,000.
Yeah, I have tons as well, but I think it's just a good introduction to showing some of the Sonny's art work, the thought process possibly, and I think his kindness in terms of making his tools, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sharing that knife making portion of it. So it's good that we could share all that stuff with whoever wants to hear it. Because I think it's just a good story, right? To keep his name alive.
Folks, if you really love that, let us know, and then Jason might break out even some more. But if you have any questions, comments, and concerns, or
episode 1 through 60,
just nothing but Sonny's work. If you really like that, leave it in the comments. Let us know, and we'll do some more of that. If not, we'll continue having our conversation with three old men and try not to be grumpy. Thank you for joining us today. And until then, train hard, be kind to each other, and take care of each other. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time. Thank you, guys.
thanks, folks. Bye.